Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Robert Phoenix, and gotta turn my mic on. It's a very important aspect here of the whole experience. Good morning, Robert Phoenix. Welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of Flame. We're gonna burn fast. We're gonna burn hard today. Got 30 minutes of intense, concentrated, focused information coming at you. Information with a little sprinkle of the Wise Dominion. Let's see. We got a signal going on over on the 15 minutes side. That should be happening muy pronto. Hey, what's going on? There's Matt and there's Diana, JMP, and Anna. Hello, Anna. Nice to see you. And let's see if we've got visual contact over on the 15 side. We should. There it is. All right, we're good. Good to go. Okay, so we got a half an hour's worth of churn and burn today, and I just wanted to. First of all, I wanted to say I want to. I don't often apologize, but I want to apologize yesterday because I was like extremely tired. I was exhausted. You caught me, or I caught you, or we caught each other. There he is, the beast. We caught each other. You caught me after a night where literally I had no sleep, none at all. I was dealing with just some pressure and stress in my personal life. You know, this happens every now and then. It does occur. So you caught me yesterday at a very kind of vulnerable place, and I was just exhausted. And when I get in that really exhausted, tired place, I begin to, step back and kind of look at this empire that I've built, which is not really an empire at all. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's part of the life process. And it's also just the Sun-Neptune opposition, which I think has been incredibly difficult for people over the last couple of weeks, or the Neptune opposition with all these Virgo planets. It's going to come to an end. It will culminate here over the next few weeks, but it's been very, very intense, because when we get into Neptune, we're getting into sometimes it can be, great promise and feeling like really connected and at one with everything. And then the other side of that equation, there can be like, moments of despair and depression. It's the Neptune thing. So it was a momentary kind of just moment where the wind in the sails was just kind of not theirs. So, look, I'm committed to this. This is what I do. This is what I've sort of built my life on, and this is my work. So I'm not going anywhere. Just want to let you know that. I just need to revamp the model probably a bit more. And anyway, that's it. That's the prologue for today's show. What is today's show about? Today's show is about yesterday's show to some extent. It is the aftermath of 9/11. And, I watched a lot of news outlets, a lot of the stuff on the alternative side, and I saw more traction on 9/11 and what happened, what's happened since on this past 9/11 than any other 9/11. Like last year, it was snoozy. It was just totally snoozy. And this year is quite different. And I think, when you sack somebody like John Bolton, that creates a ripple in the field, because Bolton was a part of that team. He was part of the 9/11 team. So just the synchronous timing of the Bolton departure and the 9/11 stuff, I think, is really, really interesting. And now there's another lawsuit now that's being filed, I believe, by the first responders of New York City, because these guys just keep dropping like flies in the aftermath of 9/11. And these were the first responders, the people that came in and tried to rescue people, pull shit out of the rubble. You know what Giuliani did? Giuliani forced his fire department to go through the rubble after everything had collapsed and go through there and basically mine gold, because there was a significant amount of gold in one of the buildings, and that gold, because of the heat, melted down, and that it restabilized, became it became pickable at some point. So he sent his guys in there, basically to go through the rubble and pick out the gold. Now, one of the reasons why 9/11, or the two buildings, the Twin Towers, in as much as it was an occult ritual, we know that. But there were so many things that were taking place during that time, and they were getting a lot of business taken care of. Both those towers were just absolutely laced and loaded with asbestos. And in order for them to go through and make those buildings up to code, it would have taken them billions of dollars. I mean, they literally would have had to rebuild those buildings, which is what they did, right? So that was a controlled demolition, because those two buildings were just absolutely chock full of asbestos. And so these first responders have been, there's Jasper wreaking havoc. The first responders have been dealing with the aftermath of all this asbestos and all this other crap in their lungs. So let's make no mistake about this. This was not just an occult ritual, or not just a fast track towards the abrogation of the Constitution, which happened with the Patriot Act. It was also, excuse me, a structural takedown, because of what they needed to do. I'm going to sneeze. 1 second. Excuse me. So, there was a lot that happened on 9/11. Of course, there was the missing money. The missing money from the Pentagon, which Don Rumsfeld talks about the day before. And the guy who was the treasurer for the Pentagon was a guy by the name of Dov Zakheim. Dov Zakheim. Let me try this for a second. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going straight hardwire into the router now, so we don't get a lot of that latency loss. Anyway, Dov Zakheim worked for the Pentagon. He was the controller. Dov Zakheim was also a dual citizen, and if I'm not mistaken, he was also a rabbi. I know he was the son of a rabbi. And right after 9/11 happens, Dov Zakheim leaves the country. And trillions of dollars are gone from the Pentagon. So what do you think they did with that money? That's the money they used to pay for 9/11. That was the operational funds. So they talk about it, ha 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 ha, it's gone, and then 9/11 happens. Boom. So the aftermath, which is today, I think it's very interesting, and I think there's more discussion and more dialogue and more debate around 9/11 than I've seen. And some of the phony bullshit worshiping the black cube of Saturn. Have you seen the reflective garden, or the reflective pools that are connected to the Twin Towers? They're hyper black cubes. They're like a representation of what shows up at in Mecca, the Kaaba, and so that's where they gathered yesterday, is the dark pool, the dark mirror, and they reflected upon the nature of reality as they surrounded the dark mirror, the hyper black cube. Portal. That's what those pools are. Those are portals, theoretically. Portals to Saturn. Anyway. I think there was more buzz, more chat, more discussion, more talk around 9/11 than I've seen in a number of years. James Corbyn's video was everywhere yesterday. It was everywhere. 5 minutes of just the massive incongruities around 9/11. I was going to all these different websites, was on Facebook, and that video was popping up everywhere. It was totally viral. And yesterday actually gave me some hope in terms of getting to the bottom of the greatest crime that was ever perpetrated on the people of the United States, and as a result, the people of the world. This is not just a United States issue or a United States problem. As a result of this, we went into 2 wars, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. one we are still currently involved in, and it gave the United States basically a free pass to do whatever we wanted to do in the world, which led us to deposing Muammar Gaddafi in Libya and creating the mess in Libya. And out of the mess of Libya, we have the things like the migrant crisis, theoretically, the war in Syria. So this dramatic effects, the domino effects of 9/11 are profound. Because once they were able to circumnavigate the Constitution with the Patriot Act, then it was fair game. Anything was kind of up for grabs. That's why they went into Libya, because you didn't have to have a declaration of war. You could be proactive. And they were running that war off of Hillary's server. And this is something I talked about for a very, very long time. And that's why it's one of the reasons why that server was destroyed, obliterated into thousands of pieces, and bleached and obliterated into thousands of pieces. They wanted no paper trail or no silicon trail to get back to that computer, because they were running that war off that computer. It was kind of a big deal, a very big deal. And it was a secret war. It was her and Obama and the administration. And anyway, 9/11 led to all of that. 9/11 fed into it all. So deep, 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 profound repercussions. And I hope at one point that it will be uncovered fully, that there will be another 9/11 investigation. What will happen is a lot of the people will start to pass away who were part of. They're still here though. A lot of them are still here. Don Rumsfeld is still around. John Bolton obviously is still around. I don't think any of them have kicked the bucket yet, at least not officially. Hey, it's 9/11. How about that? I watched a very interesting video. There's this guy, you guys probably know him, Dave Zublick. I watched a Dave Zublick video yesterday about the death of Hillary Clinton. And it was really, and that happened on 9/11. Remember that? 9/11 2016? Remember when Hillary Clinton was at the Twin Towers and she was there, part of the ceremony and all the hand wringing. Anyway, she was headed back to her mobile ambulance and she collapsed. She collapsed. And I believe it was really interesting because I had just done an off-planet radio with Randy and Emily. I think it was the first time we did one together. And I talked about the death of Hillary Clinton. And I said, I think she's going to die. That's what I said. I think she's going to die. And the very next day, she takes a cement nap. And they pick her up, and then they rush her over to Chelsea's place. And Chelsea's place had been retrofitted to be like a care center. And that's where they took her. And then the woman that emerges is not Hillary Clinton. She's not Hillary Clinton. She's somebody else. One of the doubles. And they were desperately trying to work on reviving her and bringing her back to life. Now, from what I understand, and this makes complete sense, is that she was suffering from Kuru. And, Kuru is like, it's a prion disorder, mad cow disease, and it's from eating humans. And one of the things that is a symptom of Kuru is uncontrollable laughing fits. You remember how she would do those weird laughing things, like just losing her shit, and that was Kuru. You lose control of your autonomic system. Your central nervous system just is abducted by these prions, and they're just jockeying your central nervous system. So it's more than likely she had Kuru, because she's been eating flesh for a while, and she expired. She's gone now. According to Zublick and other people who have watched or have been following this, that she was revived and kept alive by essentially having adrenochrome pumped into her 24/7. And she's got some kind of a device that's attached to her back, and I think it pumps it right into her cerebral spinal column. So she's literally the Walking Dead. If you watch this video, you'll kind of wrap your head around that a bit. And I look, it sounds completely nuts, okay? But I saw what I saw, and that time that if you go back and listen to that, I think it was the best show that Emily, Randy, and I did together. And we talked about Trump, and I said he was going to win, which he did, and I said I think Hillary's going to die, and she did, and she died the very next day because we had that conversation on the 10th of September, and I remember that night. I was riding my bike around downtown Austin, and it was night because I just wanted to ride around. I like riding my bike at night sometimes. Anyway, then I remembered, oh shit, I've got to do this off-planet thing with Randy and Emily, but I didn't have a video camera, so I had my phone, and it was just an audio thing, and I did the audio from a restaurant, and it was a beer garden in Austin, East Austin. All right, let's get to some of the aftermath. Some of the aftermath around 9/11 is what happened with John Bolton. The John Bolton news is big. And why is it big? Because there's a really good chance that John Bolton was working directly for Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, this is, again, another ripple in the sort of the force. And if Trump has removed somebody that has direct ties to Netanyahu, and it seems like he did, then this is significant. This is a really significant move on Trump's part. And I think one of the things that I've seen with Trump is that he has at times done his best to be his own man. And it's almost like his controllers get their noose around his neck and then yank him back. Like when the thing with Syria happened, he was almost forced to fire a dud missile into an insignificant sort of target somewhere in Syria. It's like he had to do it. He didn't want to do it, but he had to do it. Everybody wanted him to go to war with North Korea. What does he do? He goes there and meets with Kim Jong-un. And then, of course, they, jerk him around. And I think the whole Russiagate thing was a way to obviously keep him in place. And I think he wound up having to compromise himself on a couple levels. But again, give credit to Trump that he actually survived that thing. Because a lot of presidents don't survive that. Nixon didn't survive that. Reagan didn't survive his first term. He got shot. He was in the hospital. Who knows? Who knows who he was afterwards? It's pretty clear that G.H.W. Bush was pretty much running that administration. Clinton didn't survive it. Clinton got his ass impeached. Jimmy Carter didn't survive his first term. They run him through the ringer once he wanted to kick out a lot of the CIA people. They got back at him. They helped stage the Iran coup. So it is not easy being a president. You are twisted into a pretzel. And to Trump's credit, he got through the Russiagate stuff. Now, of course, the House is going to try to, renew the articles of impeachment. And they're running around doing. I mean, if they decided that they were going to help this country and work with the Senate and put together bills to relieve the homeless issue, if they put as much time and energy into the stuff that would help the country versus the time and energy to take Trump down, holy smokes, man! We'd have some momentum, and we really could theoretically make this country great again and the world great again as well. Because let's be clear, I mean, this is the United States, for all the pomp and circumstance and the hype around China. The United States is still the lead dog. Now, it is a sick lead dog. I'll tell you that. It is sick. We have a crisis with the immunity of this country. But if it got right, then there's a really good chance that the rest of the world can benefit from a healthy country that has a healthy sense of priorities for its people, for its resources, for its future. But in order to turn this ship around, it is going to be boots on the ground, and it's going to take time and it's going to take effort, because we are in the process of a massive culture war. And I talked about this last week in the curriculum that I've been shown that they want to launch in the Austin Unified School District, and it is basically taking the social Marxist model and bringing it down to high school, junior high, and elementary school levels. They want to make basically a K through college program that is consistent across the board and getting the same messaging. They want the indoctrination to happen faster. So people need to be aware of this. This will affect generations. This is how the game works. So in order for us to turn this ship around, there's got to be a sense of kind of vigilance and commitment, or else the future generations are going to be lost. Because these people are, we cannot react to what's going on sort of in the moment. The temporal reaction or the ephemeral reaction is not going to solve our crisis. What will solve the crisis is very, very strategic planning around putting the brakes on how our children are being indoctrinated. And they're being stolen from us. The Pied Piper of popular culture is whistling his flute and stealing our children through video games, through the crap music, through the indoctrination of this kind of narcissistic fashion culture, the fashionistas. It's happening. It's taking place. And in extreme cases, they're even abducting our children in terms of their sexual identity. So we have to really keep an eye on that, because this is the future. And, a lot of us won't be here 15, 20 years from now. So the idea is, well, I won't be here, so what does it matter? It does matter. It does matter. I think your legacy matters, and I think your timeline matters. So this is why we're in this pit every day. And, there's a strange kind of confluence now between the political and the spiritual, because we've got this interesting sextile going on with Pluto and Neptune, and Saturn and Neptune. And this is where the idea that politics and our spiritual development or our awareness, they're intertwined. Why is that? Because one of the things that I think we're here to do ultimately is to be free. I know it's a really kind of jaded and nostalgic concept, but we're here to be free. And in order to be free, we have to really look at our political and psychic and social moorings and unhook from them. And at the same time, if you unhook from them, then it is up to you. You don't have to, I guess, but it's up to you, and it's up to me to take responsibility for that and help unhook other people. If this